Okay, I have Sebs Duran here with me. Hey, YouTube.
What's up?
What is the title? Is it what you guys call yourselves? Is it reaction YouTuber? YouTube
Yeah,
reaction?
I guess so. When people ask me what I do on my channel, it's like I watch stuff that people want me to watch and record myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I first stumbled upon you a couple of weeks ago. I want to say about 3 weeks ago. And
Okay.
I was just going through YouTube. I don't even have an account on my Amazon. It's just the algorithm sort of just has to keep up with me. And I stumbled upon Carl Pilkington reaction. And you were on there. And I
Huh.
clicked out. And the first thing I noticed immediately was you on a treadmill with you,
Yeah.
as you are now with the fake brick wall background. And you're
Yep.
walking. And it's the first episode. It's Carl Pilkington, an idiot bored in China. And immediately your personality just kept me involved because there's a saturation of people doing what you do, and some people just kind of
Sure.
annoy me. They pause, they go on a tangent, or they talk over each other. But you were just on point with the subject, and it just engrossed me. It added to the program. It added to it for sure.
Dude, I'm glad.
And the
Thanks for
fact
saying that. That's
and
cool.
the fact that you speak Chinese as a second language, that also helped.
Yeah, it's a random thing, huh? Yeah. Yeah, I know. I speak Spanish, English, and Chinese. So
I'm jealous. I only speak
really
French.
random. Bro, okay, come on now. That's beautiful though.
Difficult.
I
It's
would I
very
wish I
difficult.
spoke French.
You know what? I
Yeah.
wish I'd spoke Spanish. If I could go back,
Easy.
yeah.
You can learn it. Like Spanish, you'd be surprised how simple it is to learn.
Yeah. All right. I'll give it a go at some point. But French is hard with the pronunciations. I mean, you got to be on
Yeah.
point. You got to be on point.
Yeah.
With the Carl Pilkington thing, like, did someone recommend it to you? How did you stumble upon it?
It was similar. So, okay. Like the way my channel just started, by the way, I full-time job. I actually in my name, like on the recording here, you can see like who I work for. So full-time job. We were starting to have kids. I was actually a bit like I'm a big video game, like a gamer. And I wanted to feel like my wife wasn't judging me as much. So I was like, I'm gonna make this work. Like, so I started streaming but I was like, I don't have time to stream, but I walk for an hour and a half in the morning. Let me just do it while I do that. So that's how I like set up my cameras and my computers and my screens and everything to do that. And it was like fun. You were telling me before we started recording, you're a personal trainer. I started having people just be like, hey, actually my back really hurts. Is that why you walk? I'm like, that's exactly why I walk. And we would talk about it. And there's a few people who I got to help get rid of their back pain, right? So that's how this started. But then I was like, man, now I don't have the time to do that with like another baby coming. So I was like, first I found this guy, Norm Macdonald, started reacting to him and started finding a little niche there. And one person recommended, have you ever watched An Idiot Abroad? I'm like, the what? They're like, this guy, Carl Pilkington. I'm like, no idea who the freak this is. And he's like, Ricky Gervais. Like, I know Ricky Gervais. He's freaking awesome, especially his legendary Golden Globes speech. That was just one of the most satisfying things I ever heard. Homie tells me, you should check him out. Like, watch this Meet Carl Pilkington thing. Watched it. And I was convinced this guy wasn't real. He was just the most unusual person I've ever seen. Because like the things like he was, I don't know, it was just hilarious. So people were like, check out An Idiot Abroad. I'm like, okay. I watched it and fell in love with the guy. Like I can't stop watching him. So it's like a lot of people think I'm keep watching Carl Pilkington just because like people keep telling me to. Well, it's just because I can't stop watching him. He's fascinating. So that's how it started. Someone just recommended it when I was checking out Norm Macdonald, its own little niche. And bro,
That's
it's
it.
been like that ever since. Yeah.
It's amazing, though, isn't
Actually
it?
wrote.
Because you look at your YouTube channel, and that is one of your most popular uploads is the Carl Pilkington stuff because he's so popular.
Yeah.
And people love, especially British people, they love to see Americans react to this phenomenon, which is Carl
Really?
Pilkington. Yeah, because he is almost like a national treasure. He is, because he is the
That's so
embodiment of
great.
your typical. I mean, there's a Carl Pilkington living in every neighborhood in this country. My mum's partner is a Carl Pilkington. He's a bold man in his 40s. He's a nice guy, but he's very set in his ways. He just wants to go home and chill. Every time he does laboring, he does laboring 9 hours a day, and then he just wants to go home and get his pajamas and watch
Oh,
TV.
bro,
And
that
then,
makes me so happy.
and that's the funny thing about An Idiot Abroad. Ricky Gervais, obviously, he had this friend, this producer, Carl Pilkington, and he's like, I want to put him in situations that he would never normally put himself in. and they had this
Right.
massive production. They had this massive budget. The production company is Sky One, we call it in the UK, and
Sure.
so they had all this money, and they just did it. And Ricky Gervais is a brilliant writer. He had Stephen Merchant along with him and another bunch
Yeah.
of people, and they just thought, let's see what happens. And what I find funny the most as well is, Carl Pilkington's very irritable. He's sleep deprived. He's out of his comfort zone.
That's
And
yeah.
he just folds. I mean, the one episode I just watched of yours recently was the Brazil one. And already Carl's not getting a good night's sleep because he's in like the outskirts of the favelas with like
Yeah.
80 people sharing the same room as him. And they're just partying
Yeah.
all night. He wakes up in a foul mood.
Yeah.
And I just cracked me up.
It's a brilliant idea to throw a person like that. The fact that he's like could we say he's like an archetype of the Brit, like you all like say, oh dude, he's like a Carl Pilkington, like is that something you guys say now, or like
we might
what
not
do you
say
describe him as?
Carl Pilkington, I guess you could describe him as your sort of everyman, naive,
Okay.
set in his ways, to put it lightly. It's hard, but you do get those people because, to describe a Carl Pilkington type of personality, they will go on holiday, but when they go on holiday, they'll go to places that are very much the same thing in another country. Like, I'll give an example, right? So in Spain, we have parts of Spain that are just full of British people, and everything's British, even though it's in Spain. Right. Places like Gibraltar, places like Alicante, and people will get some, they'll have a pension or whatever, and they'll go move there for the rest of their life. But there's nothing Spanish about these places. They barely speak a word of Spanish.
That's hilarious.
And I'm just like, whereas with me, I decided to go to France. So I was 21 years old. And I was walking through the Eurotunnel. Have you ever heard of the Eurostar? It's the train that connects London to France. And I'm walking through there.
My wife has told me about this. Yeah.
I'm walking through it, and the tannoy speaking French, and I couldn't understand a word. I didn't care for it in school.
Yeah.
21, and I hear it, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to learn that language. So I'll get home, get 6 French lessons booked, and then 6 months later, I've got a passport I'm on the plane for the first time ever in my life. I'm going to Montpellier in the south of France. And
dude,
I thought I memorized a few sentences, and I thought instantly, oh yeah, I can speak French now. I'm amazing. Well, I got this. I get off the plane,
right?
And there's a baggage handler guy having an argument with the pilot, and I don't understand a word they're saying. I'm like,
you can understand anything,
I'm
right?
Like, oh my god, these guys are French. I know that sounds like a really naive thing to say.
Yeah.
But you hear about them on the TV, you hear about them at school, but suddenly here I am in France, like, holy shit, they are French.
Yeah. But no, honestly, the only way to learn a language is being completely immersed. And if you start learning a few lessons, you realize when you're thrown in. Yeah. You know nothing, right?
And it's good to put yourself in those vulnerable situations because you learn so much more about yourself when you suddenly.
How many of your mates are like you, and how do you know a lot of people? Like, are most of y'all open-minded like that? Because again, we just have Carl. He's not.
Yeah, a lot of my friends are open-minded, but me myself, I'm very impulsive. I'll be the guy. I sort of stick to myself.
That's cool though.
And I'm just like, I'm gonna learn another language. My mum thought I was crazy at the time because she's like, "Oh, you haven't even passed your driving test. Why don't you focus on that first before you start learning language?" I eventually passed my driving test, and it was great because suddenly I'm in this other country. I'm a bit like Carl Pilkington. I'm just like, oh my god! Like suddenly now I'm a minority. I was one of the whitest faces in town, and I'm thinking I can just get picked on for being white. I mean, it just occurred to me for the first time in my life. And you feel the sense of vulnerability, but very, very quickly I adapted, found my way around the city, and I fell in love with the culture. I mean, I love the culture and I hate the culture. It's a love-hate thing.
Interesting. I know what you mean.
French people are very stubborn, but that's just who they are. And eventually you learn the language, and the progress you make when you start hearing people speaking, whether it be Spanish or Chinese, you're hearing them speaking, you're like, oh my God, I'm understanding it. But there's this concept I've come up with known as foreign fatigue. So when you're learning the language, you're on the night out. Say you're having drinks in the area, and you're chatting away. The more drunk you get, the more confident you speak their language, I find. But then the next day, your brain is just mush. You just can't even string a sentence together because you've just over. You know what I mean? That's it. That's all the Spanish, French tokens you're going to have for the day. They're gone.
Sure. No, I believe that. I felt that learning a few languages or whatnot. Like, That's totally what it's like. Do you find yourself behave differently in different languages?
It's hard to
Because
explain.
there's something cultural in languages, right? So so here there's my example. And again, Carl experienced this when he went to China.
Oh, sorry.
In
Sean's
Chinese,
just
you're
joining,
good.
but carry on, carry on.
So in Chinese, like sarcasm isn't a thing. Like I tried being sarcastic in Chinese when I was learning Chinese, and it was literal. And I got in a few situations, like I can't remember, so I don't have a good story for you. But it was just like they get very awkward. So I found myself being a lot more simpler in my speech and thinking when I was in a Chinese situation, right? Like I'm not like my usual self in Chinese. Like I'm pretty different. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? So like
it does bring out other
in
parts.
French,
Yeah, it does bring out other parts of your personality for sure.
yeah,
Funny, I was talking of cultural differences. So the French verb to take, like is prendre, right? But again, it's all about context. So we can take a taxi or we can take someone out for a date. You can't use that in French. You can take a taxi,
interesting.
but if you use prendre to take someone out, it suddenly seems really rude. You have to use another verb altogether. Amener.
Interesting.
So very quickly, I learned,
Yeah.
j'ai pris Stephanie ici, and they're like, no, you can't say that. You can't say that. It's completely incorrect. It sounded
Well,
really.
I'm glad I got corrected.
Yeah.
You know well, okay, I mean? So in Chinese, it's the tonalities. That's where you can get in trouble, right? So I was like, all right, so the Chinese word for dry, like something is dry, gan. All right. If you tone that down and you just say gan, I just said fuck. Like that's what I just said. All right. So when someone gave me, and the folks that I was like with weren't that wealthy, so they treated me and like my colleague to dinner at their home. So it was a beautiful thing they were doing. Give me the chicken. How is it? And the guy I was with, he was like, it's a little dry. How do I say it's dry? I'm like, and I say fuck, and I just offend the heck out of this family. And I'm like, I don't understand what's happening right now, because it's not like they could explain to me what I just said because they didn't speak English. What's the worst thing you did in French? If you don't have a bad experience, that's good. Props.
Well, I mean,
and what's up, Sean?
The thing with the French is that they're very quick to brush things off. They don't linger on things.
Oh,
it's in the moment.
That's beautiful.
So if you fuck up, you fuck up. Next day, it doesn't matter.
Nice.
But I'll give you an example. Okay, so to say hey in French is salut, but you have to get that very narrow U sound. And in English, that U sound don't exist. We don't.
Salut. Did I get it close at all?
Quite close. But if you don't get that narrow U sound and you just say salut, you're saying bitch.
What, bro? That's unfair, man.
I know. That's exactly.
Well, salud in Spanish is how we say it, like toast. Like,
yeah.
Because salud means health, right?
Yeah. Well, Santé, yeah. So almost.
Wow.
It's almost the same thing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Bro, that's unfair, man.
So
I don't like it.
My strategy when I go, because I went to France 3 times, and the longest time I was over there was Bordeaux. Bordeaux is a beautiful city.
Cool.
They call it the city of wine, and I went through a bit of a wine phase. And what happened was I got out the map. So I had this paper map because I had no internet, right? And this is 2017. This is only a couple of years ago. I get the map out. I'm like, right, here's the hotel I'm staying in. And I was like, let's find the bank. So I was like, okay, we're going to go find the bank. So I go out on all the different trams. Once I found the bank, I put it on the map. And I was like, right, what if I need to eat? McDonald's. I'm not a big McDonald's guy, but fuck it. If I need it, I need it. And here's one of the differences, right? So in England, you'll get a burger and you get French fries. Okay. In France, they'll give you the option of potato wedges. You don't get that in England.
What the?
Potato wedges instead of fries. With their Happy Meal.
What do they call fries, by the way, over there? Because right, we call them French fries.
Pommes frites or pommes frites. I'm trying to think because I haven't used that word.
They wouldn't say French fries.
No, exactly.
What are they?
Nah, they just say potato fries, pommes frites, or les frites.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's like bread.
Your French sounds good, bro. It's beautiful.
Well, it's funny. My nickname
French is it's a central language, man. It's a central language.
At the beginning, I was called French Borat because I went to the south. All right, so I went to this because I went to Montpellier. There's a lot of North Africans living over there, So I was listening to them
Oh,
talk, and I developed this really harsh accent. So I'll be like, je voudrais, right? And it sounded
yeah.
really harsh. So I go to see this French lady in the town I'm living in now, just to brush up on my skills between visits. And I started talking. She's like, "Whoa, you sound like an African. What's wrong with you?" So it just reminded me of that scene
Oh
in
man.
Borat. You know, when Borat goes up to the brothers and he's like, "Oh, you'll teach me to talk like you, right?" And then next thing
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
he's
yeah,
going into
yeah.
the hotel. And he's like, "What up, Vanilla Face? You'll put me up for the night?" Because
That's such a classic movie.
because I learned a lot of slang as well, very, very quickly. So
Yeah.
as soon as I said to say I'm hungry in French, you say j'ai faim. It almost looks like the word famine. I have famine, right? J'ai faim. I have hunger. But I wasn't saying that. I was saying j'ai trop la dalle, right? And every time I said that, the
What does that
French
mean?
people, I don't know the exact translation, but it basically means like I'm starving. But it's a very slang
Oh,
term.
so they're like,
And they laughed every time. They thought that was just hilarious because I was speaking this like, saying like salut, ça va, which is hey, how's it going? Right? I'll be like, seguez. You know what I mean? Again, it just means what's up.
yeah.
But hearing a foreigner
Oh,
speak like
bro.
this just had them in stitches. And yeah, so it's just interesting things like that. I mean, that's one of the things I was excited to talk to you about was the fact that you speak Chinese and you also speak Spanish. And I'm thinking it is a different world because you have to use different parts of your brain, and we take it for
Yeah.
granted. We speak English, and we'll be having conversations right now, and we're not thinking about the tone, we're not thinking about
Right.
inflections, we're not thinking about the tense. We're just doing it innately. But when
Yeah.
you're in that other country, you have to think about the tense. In Chinese, you have to think about the tone,
Yeah.
and it's exhausting. It is
Yeah.
exhausting, and it's
So
not
there's
easy.
that's your what did you call it? What fatigue? Foreign
Foreign
fatigue?
fatigue.
That's pretty good, man.
Yeah,
Yep.
but I think that was an old school word for PTSD, so I've got to be careful. No, battle fatigue.
Oh,
No,
interesting.
they call it battle fatigue.
Battle
Yeah,
fatigue.
I'm copywriting that.
You're
Foreign
fine.
fatigue.
Uh, yeah. Book it.
That's it.
That's funny.
So
I like that.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but a famous British comedian. Here's Sean. Right, buddy.
What up,
Bonjour.
Sean?
Sorry, apologies for being late.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Is that it's talking about
You had
French,
to
isn't it?
you had to roll that thing up. That's what you were doing.
Oh no. No. My brother's here and I just lost track of time and shit. I apologize.
Yeah, his brother's out of town, so we don't see each other very often.
Word.
Yeah, no, I'm game. Let's go.
I was about to say something. Oh no, I lost it.
I'm
We were
so
talking.
sorry.
Oh yeah. I remember now. So we just recently we lost a very famous British comedian named Sean Locke, and so you're probably going to be seeing a lot of his stuff popping up on your
Interesting.
in your inner circle. He was a very famous. Well, he was more famous for doing what's called panel shows. So he was part of like the Jimmy Carr entourage. He was part of,
Oh, okay.
and he passed away with cancer like a few days ago. So no doubt, I
Jeez.
highly recommend you check out some of his because his humor. He was a comedian for sure.
Would you describe it as like deadpan? Just
He was deadpan, but he was very abstract as well. Like he just came out with things that were so absurd that it would just leave you laughing.
What?
Like,
with a straight face, like one of
Yeah.
those people that can say things.
I'll
with
give
a
you an
straight
example.
face.
Right? Are you familiar with a show called Countdown or 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown?
No.
All right. So Countdown originated, I want to say it came out in the 80s, right? It was a very formal British show where they would get, you get these letters up, you get 9 letters, and you're only you're allowed a certain amount of vowels, a certain amount of consonants, and then the panel would have to come up with a word. And if you could get a 9-letter word, you were winning, right? But then this comedy panel show came along called 8 out of 10 Cats, and they took over the reins of Countdown called 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. It was a much more irreverent late night version of it. And it turned out to be more popular. I would say it was more popular than the actual original show, easily.
Yeah, that's
And
Interesting.
I see that on reruns a lot more than the original.
Yeah. But so
100%.
anyway, you have Sean Locke, Jimmy Carr, and all them doing it. And I'm trying to think, and there was one of the new girls. I mean, she's been doing it for like 5 years now, but the countdown lady, we call them, the one that does the cards and all that. Her name's Rachel Riley, beautiful woman.
Okay.
And there was
Rachel Riley.
Yeah, my girlfriend's called Rachel
Let's look
Riley.
this up. Nah, come
Same
on
name,
now.
same name.
That's insane.
So
Oh yeah, she's attractive. Yeah.
yeah. And then
Okay.
Straight on it.
straight on it. Yeah, stay away from my
I'm like
girlfriend.
I'm like Jamie on the Joe Rogan show.
Yeah. So so there was one bit where they're talking about how Rachel Riley has to dress in disguises. So she's got this big furry wig on. She puts on the Viking helmet and all that. They're just taking the piss. But then out of nowhere, Sean Locke says, "That's a challenge and wank," and it just killed. It absolutely killed.
Especially because I've just been starting to learn what wank means.
Yeah.
So now when it's used, and that's a hilarious use, dude, I'm gonna add this guy. I recognize it. I recognize him. I've seen this guy.
I'm not a big fan of like trying to impersonate comedians, but because he's a panelist, I think we get away with it because it's not really material, is it? It's just off the cuff. So there's one thing that always makes me laugh, and he's got a girl sat next to him, and she's just not expecting it, and she hits the giggles. This clip's resurfaced again since Sean Locke's died, so it's a lot easier to find now. I'll send you the link.
Send it to me, bro.
And you can do a reaction to it, man, because that will get you the views, because that is hot.
Let's check it out, bro.
And Jimmy Carr says to him, and I'll give you there's a British thing in a second that I'll pass by you, but the RLNI is the Royal Lifeguard Association or something like that. They go around on boats. Sure. It's a charity, right? So Jimmy Carr says to Sean Locke, "So what's your greatest achievement in life, Sean?" And Sean says in a deadpan voice, "All that money I embezzled off the RLNI." And he says, "All that time I went seal clubbing. And then the girl next to him just starts fucking dying laughing, but he just keeps in character, and he goes, "They told me that they've never seen anything like it in their life. I had 2 hammers, one in each hand. It was like a trolley dash." And he just keeps going. I don't want to spoil any more, but I want you to see the rest for you.
Sure.
He just keeps going, and Claudia next to him just can't keep it together. It's brilliant.
Because they know he's joking, but it's also, they're like, it seems like they're put in a weird spot.
Yeah.
Like, what do you say?
Yeah.
So, oh man, that's great.
I've seen the one where he has a can of water.
Yeah, and it's beer.
And he starts pouring it into a glass, and he's like, "It's beer." He's just like describing the health benefits of water, but he's still drinking beer. He's like, "It comes from a sewer. That's why it's dirty."
That's good, dude. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check him out.
Well, I'll give you a little.
Yeah,
I'll give you.
He's like everywhere.
I feel like a little stockbroker now, like an insider stockbroker, because I know
Give me the tips, dude.
The YouTube guys obviously are going to be competing to get on what's hot, because I always know what I love about the YouTube reaction guys is seeing the patterns that you guys follow. Not necessarily, I know you might just be following your own patterns, but you do get a lot of people that will. So next 1 minute they're doing Idiot Abroad, but then everybody's doing an Idiot Abroad. Or 1 minute it's Frankie Boyle, then everybody's doing Frankie Boyle. So because they know they'll get good views, it's popular. So why not?
Yeah, I've seen an uptrend in like UK TV shows, like In-Betweeners, and
all right,
there's a few other things.
So write this down. This could be a gold mine for you, right? So Sean Locke did a TV show. It only did 2 seasons, right? I think it was called 15 Stories Up. I haven't even seen it. I've literally watched like 5 minutes of it.
15 Stories High?
15 Stories High, that's it. It was his passion project, but it didn't really go anywhere. But it was an underrated gem. Now that he's died, that show is going to come out of its obscurity. So if you can get on that, you are laughing.
Let's try it, dude. Let's try it.
You could be the first American. You could be the first American to get on that,
bro. I love being first at everything. I'm just kidding.
If this
I would like to be, because I'm never.
If this works out, you have to come on a second podcast now, all right?
Always like, I owe it to you guys. We'll divvy up any sort of ad revenue on those.
It was BBC. You know what? It's not in syndication, so I think it's kosher.
Sure. And if not, it's fine.
No, it's on YouTube.
Oh, that's true.
It's on YouTube. The whole thing.
Yeah, I just the entire 2 seasons are on YouTube, and it's like some random dude who uploaded them.
Yeah.
Legend. What a legend.
That's what I mean. And like I said,
Sean Locke, huh?
It's a tragic thing what happened to him, but the bright side of it is,
what cancer did he have?
I don't know.
You guys know?
I think he was
skin cancer. No.
Before he died, though.
He had skin cancer in 1990, so it must have come back.
Wow.
But he was popular before he passed away. I wouldn't say he was like underrated or anything. He was.
So before you joined us,
he was a gem for y'all, and now he passed. Man, that sucks.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I was saying just before you joined the chat, I was saying to Seb that with Carl Pilkington, he really is kind of a British everyman. There's a Carl Pilkington in every neighborhood. Do you know of any Carl Pilkingtons?
Dean, do we know any Carl Pilkingtons? someone who reminds you of Carl Pilkington.
When I lived in Kent, I met a guy, like dealer, that fucking lived in Spain.
He knew a guy who lived in Kent who sold drugs. He looked like Carl Pilkington.
We called him Pilky.
Called him Pilky. So if you're ever in Kent,
Bro, he's
know who to look for.
Pilky.
Okay, there we go.
Pilky.
Hey, there we go. Hey, y'all know a Pilky?
Watching this
Just want to
Johnny
talk to him.
Pilky.
Just want to see. I just want to see. I just want to talk to him. It's like, are you looking for? No,
Well, you know the funny thing is
just
like
want to take him out to dinner, bro.
a couple of people said to me like tongue in cheek, they're saying, "Oh, I should get Carl Pilkington on the podcast." But the reality is, he would be the worst podcast guest ever, because if you watch that man in any interview that's not to do with Ricky Gervais, the man's just like, "No, I like to be at home." Like he has nothing to say.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais
What if-
really.
You would have to like taunt him.
Yeah.
Like it would probably be hard to like have a podcast where he's like, man, I like those guys. No, you would have, if you want like an interesting episode, you'd probably have to
Yeah, I think the thing with Carl Pilkington is
throw
that
things at him.
he is who he is. There's no inauthenticity about him. But I think Ricky Gervais
Right.
knew exactly how to shine the light on that innocence and wholesomeness.
Yeah.
The brains of the operation was Ricky by far. He knew exactly what situations to put him in because he knew him. He'd known him for decades.
I also heard, is it true? So when he worked at that radio station, in like the Ricky Gervais show, he also talks about his friend Russell. Is he actually talking about Russell Brand there? Is that true?
I don't know. Did
you guys know about this?
No, I didn't know they were
Seems like
affiliated.
Russell Brand also worked at that radio station.
Oh,
I mean,
Russell Brand did
they know
work
each
in
other.
radio before he got
Yeah, I mean,
fired.
those circles are quite small. You'd be surprised because England's a small country.
Right.
You know, England is a small country.
Shockingly, like, yeah, like my wife tells me, Sean, I was telling DK that my wife is half British. So we were intending on going. And yeah, she tells me that all the time, just like how surprisingly small it is. Because we live in Utah in the US. And Utah geographically is
Bigger.
Same size
quite
as Britain.
big.
We're about the size
Probably
of
the size of Britain, yeah.
We're about the size of North Dakota. So you could drive from the bottom, what we call Land's End, Cornwall. You could drive from there to the edge of Scotland in one day. Easily.
Wow.
It's only 900 miles.
That'd be a cool trip.
Well, we have our own.
That'd be a fun trip.
Scotland has its own Route 66, and it's called Scotland
There
Route
you go.
66, and it's right at the top of Scotland. And I want to do it. It is a beautiful, beautiful place. I mean, Scotland's just. I'll tell you something that you might like. You can look this up on Google. So in Glasgow, there was a statue called the Duke of Wellington, and drunk people on the weekends would get really drunk and would put a traffic cone on the statue's head.
Sure.
And then after, I think the council was spending like 20 grand a year in services, just getting the traffic cone taken off. In the end, the council said, just leave it on there. And it's now become a tourist destination. So if you go Glasgow,
What's this
Duke of
thing called?
Wellington, it's the Duke of Wellington.
What?
Duke of Wellington, yeah.
Is the cone protected?
Oh wow. Dude, yeah.
I've got a postcard in my drawer.
Man.
It's on Queen Street. Every time I go to Glasgow, like, I've got to see the statue. I've got to see the traffic cone.
Is the cone protected then? Like,
Man.
no one's allowed to touch the cone.
No, people just leave it
Here,
on there.
Yeah, that's hilarious. And like there's like even like you can buy stickers of the guy with the traffic cone on there.
Yeah.
That's so great.
but that's
This
just
picture has like 20 of them.
yeah. I mean, what a great sense of humor. What a great way to overcome that issue. I'll just leave it on there. And then you've got Asians
Yeah,
and
see,
everything going over.
That's the one. Look at that one.
How many cones have they got on there? Jesus Christ. Usually it's just one cone.
I don't know. Maybe
It's
they
like
started a
8,
competition.
9 of them.
Maybe that's what
Oh,
happened.
bro, that's
that
so
was
great.
that was the Glasgow BLM riots. They thought, fuck it, let's get some more traffic cones on there.
You guys had BLM rallies in Glasgow?
Nah, well,
Nah,
if they did,
Oh, okay,
that's
okay.
that's what they did.
We had them where I'm at, which was random as all get out.
Yeah, because
Jeez.
Utah's a really white place, isn't it?
Like as white as it gets, which is why I like people ask me like, was that hard? Like, no, it was the best. Like I was treated like royalty because I wasn't white. Yeah, so no, it was really random how that all went.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of my favorite films is in Utah, Salt Lake City.
A lot of films are built. Which one?
SLC Punk.
Oh, right. Yep.
I'm trying to remember the guy's name. People know him as Shaggy and Scooby Doo, but he actually is a very
Ed
worst.
Lillard.
Yeah, that's it, Lillard.
Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Matthew Lillard, that
That's
was it.
right.
Yeah. And SOC Punk's a great film, and I'm guessing Salt Lake
Yeah, that's
City's
one-
in
that's
Utah,
one-
isn't it?
It is.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
so I'm about like yeah, I remember this movie. Yeah, it's about like, so where I'm at, it's like I'm like 40 minutes, 30 minutes south of Salt Lake, but I always go to Salt Lake for work, or I mean, yeah, the airport, because I travel quite a bit for work. Yeah, SLC Punk, man.
And another good film was 127 Hours, where Aaron Rolstein was doing Blue John Canyon and got his arm trapped.
Yes.
Danny Boyle turned into a movie.
Yeah, there's a lot. Again, a lot of stuff was filmed. That scene where, all right, in Forrest Gump, when he finally's like, I think I'm tired. I'm pretty tired. I think I'll go home now. That's in Moab, Utah. That's a good place to go, especially to go camping and whatnot, to like really experience. Yeah, like, so the Utah, one of the main symbols is like the arches. That's where that's at.
And you guys are quite far north, though, aren't you? So it must get cold, right?
It gets cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets pretty. And but it is dry though. So in the summer it is pretty hot. But thankfully it's dry. But yeah, when it's cold, like, yeah,
Is that where
Park
Fargo's
City's
based
here in
Utah?
No, that's Minnesota, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's Minnesota.
And obviously the birth
right.
of Mormonism, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's actually it's actually New York, but they like all right. Like the Mormons were. It's actually pretty astounding, like hearing their story, because you learn it being here and whatnot. Like they were pretty much kicked out of like every state in the East. So they eventually the Mormon pioneers. Yeah, they like all came to Utah. Like they were like escaping
Cool.
quite a bit of prejudice. I didn't like know. It was pretty nuts.
Have you ever met any Amish people on Rumspringer?
No, that's not Utah,
That-
is it?
Okay,
I
the
just mean
Amish are in
an Amish
Pennsylvania.
person on
But I have
Rumspringer.
met an Amish person.
Ohio. That's it.
Yeah.
Ohio. We need to
And-
get
on
that.
Rumspringer, were they? I don't know what.
No,
Rumspringer sounds
no.
fun.
It is. It does sound like a fun place. No.
All right.
Yeah, but I actually have met some.
You
And
got
it
me
was like
going.
strange being like, do you know who like that Leonardo DiCaprio movie? They're like, who? And I was like, whoa, this is like really happening. You guys don't know who Leonardo DiCaprio is. Yeah, it was cool.
Shit.
It's got me thinking now, because what fascinates me about the United States is how every state is kind of its own culture. We've got
So different.
I'm
Yeah.
just thinking of a random question now, like random foods that you get in Utah that you wouldn't get anywhere else in America.
All right, I actually have one really good, really easy one for you. So there's a condiment in Utah called fry sauce. Just a dip for your French fries. It really is just your very basic ketchup and mayonnaise mixed together, and then dip French fries in that. Fry sauce is all over the place in Utah. So that's like the most Utah thing you'll get is a condiment.
Ketchup and mayo.
Ketchup and mayonnaise. Yeah.
All right.
Like they even sell it as its own thing. Right?
Oh,
like
that's
fry
cheating.
sauce.
I
know, dude.
We
But it's like, hey, they're saving you the trouble.
Sean and I we're half Scottish. We grew up in a town full of Scottish people, even though it was in the middle of England.
Dope.
So we got a lot of the Scottish culture, and some foods that are quite unusual is we have what's called black pudding. Have you ever heard of that?
I have. Remind me what it is.
It's dried pig's blood.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I like blood sausage.
Yeah, that'd be the
A
same.
lot.
Similar.
And then we also have
I guess
square
I wonder if it'd
sausage.
be the same.
That's another thing in
Square
Scotland.
sausage? What's that?
It's square sausage.
Yeah, it's a sausage as well.
It's just a square shaped sausage.
Yeah, literally. But
Is that really all it is?
It has a weird. It's got like a different taste to it. It's really nice. It's
So I moved down to the south of England 13 years ago, and I asked for square sausage, and they just look at me like a blow up doll. Like they just never heard of it in their life. So every time,
what
It
about
looks like spam. Do you guys know what spam is?
yeah, we get
Yeah,
spam everywhere.
what about tatty scones?
Tatty
Potato
scones, potato scones, scones.
Skins. No, I had a skin.
We have scones here, but
Potato
Scotland, that's another.
Well, it's like weird as well. Like, so
Yeah.
going back to the whole France thing,
Yeah.
we get McDonald's breakfast in the UK, very similar to you guys. We've got the McMuffin, the hash brown, the
Oh,
egg
yeah.
McMuffin, right? But we
Yes.
trying to get a McDonald's breakfast in France was a nightmare because it was just pancakes and fruit. There was no McMuffin.
Really? They
So-
didn't do the sausage and egg McMuffin?
No. So I made friends with a French guy named Manu. I'm still friends with him to this day. And he comes over to England for the first time ever about a month after I visited Montpellier. So I get him over here. And we sit at McDonald's before we go to get his train home. And he has a McMuffin for the first time in his life, 19 years of age, first McMuffin. And then he goes up and I go, where you going? He goes, I go to get another.
Dude, that would be a nice thing. That would be a nice thing to be able to re-experience, huh?
First McMuffin, for sure. And those other things that made me laugh as well was like we're on a bus and we went past a tackle shop called Fresh Bites.
What shop? Because I've been taught what tackle means as of late. Is that what you just said?
Oh, tackle shop being like, you know, what you fish bait and stuff.
Got it.
Not.
See, I thought we were talking.
Not a penis shop.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny enough.
Yeah, I was like,
you're just giving away. Well, funny enough, right? This is going to sound weird now, right? So we go past a shop called Fresh Bites, and Manu burst out laughing and saying, "Oh, what's so funny?" He says, "Well, bite in French, beat means dicks." So that sign said fresh dicks to him. So it's just little things like that, you know.
Well, okay, here's the one that I get in Utah all the time that I giggle about. So in Mexican food, right, they have like a type of salsa that they call pico de gallo, or how they say in Utah, pico de gallo, right. So pico in Chile means like a beak, so it means a dick.
Okay.
So and then Utahns like to shorten it. So it's like, I want some pico, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times this has happened. I'll be at work. I had this experience with like one of our co-founders where he said, when we went out to a Mexican restaurant, I want some pico. And I start laughing. Like, I can't help where this happens. People bring up pico all the time. So
again, it's like,
you guys want like pico. If everyone watching, you like pico, it's all good with me.
Yeah, cool.
But it makes me giggle, man.
Coming from a man in Utah.
I can't grow up.
You like that. But you know, it's funny.
I can't grow up.
You know, no, again, but there's certain things like you have to get out there in order to pick up on things that no one else would notice. So you're right. When I came back from France for the third time, I'm working at a holiday park in the town I'm in now. And this, you get a lot of people on vacation coming in, and this lady's wearing a shirt and it says, Je suis fabuleux, right? Which is a very common brand. It just means I'm fabulous.
Okay.
But the French have masculine and feminine adjectives. So her shirt said that she was a fabulous man because it ended in AUX. If it was feminine, it would say je suis fabuleuse. So
interesting. I didn't know French had that too. Yeah, we have that in Spanish.
So she had, I'm a fabulous man.
I don't know if you guys know with the whole woke thing, by the way, stuff going on. I don't know if this has gotten to you guys. I'm sure it has. You guys don't live under a freaking rock. So I'm Latino, but there's like people trying to call me Latin X.
I heard that's been rejected though.
I can't stand it. Like, so yeah, like I was at work. We're like, so are you Latinx? I'm like, am I what? I'm Latino. Yeah. Like, that's what we say. We don't. It's like pretty weird. So anyway,
so
we
like
have
a shitty
so I didn't know
fucking
French had that.
Latino sequel like Jason X. Is it? What does it mean?
Oh, that'd be dope. Yeah, there we go.
What does Latinx mean? What is that?
It's because X is gender neutral.
Oh, I get you. Okay.
Because our entire language, every word is gender. It has a gender.
Wokeness won't work in these Latin languages because you'd have to completely, like, there's so much because especially the French, I'm sure the Spanish is the same as well. But they are so protective of their language that there's a whole governing body that have to approve of every single change every year that goes to the language. Yeah. And these are old white men. And they ain't changing that language. Right. No one.
I think that's what rubbed me the wrong way. I was just like, is this like is there like a group of Hispanics that are getting together asking for this? And then when it's like, who asked for this one? So, and then, that's the same. Yeah. Same criticism. It's just like, bro,
that wouldn't work. Again, like, you'd have to completely
just don't step in here.
Yeah. You'd have to completely change the language from the inside out because, oh, don't even get me started. It's a mind fuck. Just learning it was hard enough. I'm not relearning it.
Right.
Because in French, there's no word for it. There is no it. It's a he or a she.
Interesting.
Manu, when he'd be speaking English to me, he'd say, oh, can you give me her? Meaning the lighter, because the lighter is feminine. It's le briquet.
Interesting.
So can I have her, please?
Yeah. In Spanish,
it's funny. It was le briquet, which is feminine, which is the lighter. Or you could say du feu, which is some fire, which is masculine.
Right. Wow.
All inanimate objects have to be feminine.
Masculine or feminine?
All
Like
right.
a chair.
And that is kind of interesting where where were
Yeah.
they assigned it? I don't know.
I know who decides.
We just know.
You know, a chair is la chaise, feminine, but le siège, the seat, is masculine.
La silla. Yeah.
All right.
La
Okay.
silla.
So
Interesting.
if you're referring to
Yeah.
something as he or she, chances are it won't make any difference, because if you're saying he, then the chair could be masculine or feminine, because you could be referring to the seat or the chair. Doesn't matter.
No, you can't say it won't work.
Oh,
La
would it not?
silla. It's always la silla.
Oh, okay. Can't say the chair.
Yeah, no, it just, well, I guess we could try, but
That's it.
no,
all chairs are
it's just
female
not
now.
how you say it.
Now we're becoming woke.
Right. Yeah, there we go. Shoot. Sorry, y'all. You can't help it. It just all gets so complicated, man.
Yeah,
No,
no.
but
You
do
know
you
what?
think?
Okay,
do
and
you
this
think?
is
Sorry. Go on.
No. I want to hear what you were going to ask, Sean.
Do you think people in this woke culture are choosing to be offended just to
Yeah.
conform?
I just think they don't have anything else. I'm not saying that as a critic, because I think I've been there too. It's like this. I think unless you found like some sort of meaningful purpose, it'll find you. And I just think somehow this became the thing that's being shared all over. And it's like, all right, well, there's a fake. There's a way for me to show,
Virtue
make
signaling,
myself
isn't it?
feel like right. So I'll just say, okay, that's what people are talking about. Sure, I'll take that stance. Honestly, for me, like it's always been like, I was less distracted with stuff like that when I started having kids and started building my family. Like I just don't have time. Like I just don't care, right?
I get it.
And it's surprising to me. Everyone who like really cares about this stuff, they have no aspirations for something more meaningful than that. So
It comes
I
from a
don't know.
place
I
of
think that's
privilege
where it
as well, though, doesn't it? It's definitely a privilege thing, because there's the places in South America or Latin America that are so impoverished. It's the least of their worries about how someone identifies. People just want human rights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way
I
I
don't
look
want to
at
get
it, it's
jacked
like
up in the street.
my favorite TV show. If someone was talking shit about it, I'd be like, I'd defend it to the high heavens. But that's subjective, isn't it? It's all subjective at the end of the day. Like everyone's gonna. I'm choosing to be offended by what that person would say. Do you know what I mean?
There's this Irish guy that we've gotten friendly with on the podcast, and he's come up with a new word called offendials, and he's trying to get that word popular. Offendials refers to people who are easily offended.
Interesting.
And I was like,
And that's a good one, man.
The millennials.
That's a really good one.
Offendees.
Offendials.
Offendials, yeah. And like the crap that will, yeah. I mean, granted, the only thing worth defending, if anyone were to bring him down, would be Carl Pilkington, right? Like in my mind. I've actually started, I've had a few guys like at work tell me, like, I watch your channel with that Carl guy, man, he's weird. I'm like, don't you dare say that.
Yeah.
So I guess I get it. I guess I get it. So Sean, you bring up a good argument.
Yeah, but he's weird because people didn't grow up where he grew up. They didn't learn the way he learned. You know what I mean? People choose to think he's weird, but he's just a dull, entertaining guy. Isn't he?
I don't know if you've come across this yet, but one of my favorite Carl Pilkington moments is when he's what do they call it? Sky walking, where they strap him to the top of the plane. And the plane is just going.
Okay.
When
I reacted to one of these, when I reacted to one of these videos, that was in the intro. I don't know what episodes that's on, but I haven't gotten to this yet. But they showed that. I cannot wait for. I don't know how he gets in that situation. Don't spoil it for me.
Won't spoil it.
Have you seen the episode where he's on the boat I can't remember where he is. It's on a fishing trip in the middle of the ocean, and he's getting seasick. I won't spoil it if you ain't seen it.
No.
All right. Okay.
Oh man.
Oh man, you got to watch. I think that's season 2. Season 2 is class.
I just barely started season 2, and I've only done one episode because we're just like finding 20 to 30, because I have to do it in segments, right? Finding 20 to 30 minutes to film these. The next is the Trans-Siberian Express. Then we got the dolphin swim. I'm guessing that's what you're talking about. Or maybe whale watching is also what it could be.
I think whale watching is the one.
Gorilla.
What I found interesting was how the people that reaction YouTubers can watch the whole thing and not get a strike. Is it? So what's the situation on that?
So there's actually a couple of things there. So actually in YouTube, there's strikes, and then there's also just not being monetized.
Oh, okay.
Just not being able to monetize a video. So a lot of these unedited broads, like I can't monetize them, but I don't care. Like, granted, I am just showing someone else's copyrighted stuff and laughing at it. So I think it makes sense. Like, so I never push a fight to that one, but that's the thing. So those that you don't get a strike for that one. It's
cool.
Just can't monetize them.
What I love about it is that it brings a lot of old things back into the culture, like people, younger people who, I mean, I don't know too much about what you guys do because we don't do it. We just do the podcast, but I get the impression that Warner Brothers are the worst because even if you're paying homage to it and you're getting people talking about Harry Potter or getting them talking about their biggest IPs that are 10 years old now, they'll be like, oh no, get rid of it. And I'm like, but hang on a minute. You're just getting people discussing, sometimes I might see someone react to a movie that I haven't seen in 10 years and I want to watch that movie again. That's right. That benefits the company, right?
Yeah, it should. So that's just how they play, man. I don't know.
Nintendo, I mean, they're just as bad with emulation.
Oh, they're awful. You can't use their soundtracks or anything. They're awful. They are for their Capcom, the worst.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, I know we've only got you for 10 more minutes. So you said you're gaming. What we can go 15, 20 more minutes. Up to you guys. I'm totally fine. But yeah, gaming. What about it? Right. So what was your origins? Where did you start off?
Bro, I mean, all right. So the thing with this, all right, I'm the youngest of 5 brothers, right? And my 3 oldest brothers are all 14, 13, 12 years older than me respectively. So because of that, like everything that they were into, I got into and I'm still into. So that's why, it's not like my favorite, like, even though I love like your Kanye's or your bands from the 2000s, I like music from the 90s, right? Like your Pearl Jams, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, and then your rappers from the 90s. Deftones. Thank you. So I still like work out to Slipknot almost all the time. Like those were the bands that I listened to growing up. The same, it came to video games. So my brothers, the games that were big when they were, teenagers were Final Fantasy games. So that's what I like to play. I like to play like story-driven RPG games. Because I could never get into I couldn't ever get into your Halos or things like that because, dude, some of my friends, I don't know this, like they just got too good at these things. So it wasn't fun, like hanging out with them. So then I could just never get
open world RPGs, similar.
Yeah. So story driven because, granted, I've learned to enjoy reading, but if I can experience a story by playing it, that's what I'm into.
Yeah, I mean,
so right now, like game of the year last year for me was they just remade Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah,
and that was freaking.
Yeah,
that was a good experience, man.
That was my first experience with Final Fantasy. Was
is that the first game you played?
Yeah, I played it on the PlayStation. It was so immersive. Yeah. I'm really into level grinding. So I just because when I was younger, I wasn't terribly bright either. So I'd get stuck in one area and just grind, and I'd be way too powerful by the time I figured out where I needed to go next. And because do you remember Final Fantasy VII, the original one? Do you remember much about it?
Oh yeah.
So when you first leave Midgar, I would have been I was about level 12, level 13 at the time, and then Cloud tells the story of Sephiroth. And when you're playing the flashback, Sephiroth is level 50.
50, and you're level 1.
And in my head, I'm inspired. I'm like, I will be level 50. Like that was so I'm like in this shitty area getting about 250 XP every battle, just getting it took me weeks to get to level 30. And then I figured out where I needed to go next. So it was fine.
I think that's what I liked about it, right? If you can not overcome a piece of a story, just go level up.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of a beautiful life principle right there, right? It's like, all right, I can't beat this thing right now.
I think that's the roots of who I am now as an adult because I'm nearly 30. So
I think so too.
Perseverance, just stay and grind. If you can, if one door closes, just stay on point and just because hard work pays off. Whether it be podcast, writing.
I need you guys to talk to my wife. She needs to understand. This is why I play video games. There's life principles here.
Yeah.
Get her on the podcast.
Believe me.
Talk some sense into it. I think my favorite Final Fantasy is 10.
That's a good one. Absolutely.
Story wise, I've really enjoyed it.
I've played and perhaps 100% completed almost all of them.
Yeah.
Except for 11. I didn't play 11 or 13.
Is that the online one?
Yeah, 11's online.
11 is online. Yeah. 14 is online too. And 14's online too. I still have a character on there, but no, I don't really play it.
Have you ever heard of a game named Fantasy Star Online for the Dreamcast?
Yeah.
That was a strange one.
And then it's like, they're like revamping it to like they're trying to bring it back.
It came back. So they brought it out for the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 and all that in 2020. So it was quite late. This game, Fantasy Star Online 2, came out in 2012. All right.
Okay.
And it only came out for the current gen consoles last year. So me getting an Xbox, I was right. I'm going to get this game. Playing it, I was just like, this is a game from 2012. What am I doing? And I deleted it within a day. Yeah. I was heartbroken because I'd built it up to be so much more in my head. And I realized...
And they've had another revamp now. I don't know if it's worth playing it again. I don't know if we should try it.
Yeah.
It's like with the most recent game I played, because I'm not even a gamer anymore. I tried playing the flight.
Sure.
I tried playing the flight simulator. You ever heard?
Oh, that's fun.
But
is that cool?
Well, here's the issue I had, right? So it was only fun to play whilst under the influence of marijuana, but I couldn't get past the tutorial whilst high as fuck, because I'm just like, well, all these buttons, right? But then when I was sober, it wasn't fun to play. So
it's you got to pick your poison then.
Yeah. So I deleted it. That was my poison.
I know this is a simulator. You'd be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I keep wanting to go past my hometown, but it's always nighttime, so I can never see it. So I'm like, ah. So that's the beauty of the game. You can see everything.
Yeah.
The whole world.
Yeah. Interesting. That might be fun to try while walking. I don't even think it would even be possible.
Yeah. So what are you playing these days?
These days I am replaying. Last year there was also a game that came out called Ghost of Tsushima. And they
that's PS exclusive, isn't it?
Yeah. So get this. So I was trying for months to get a PS5, and we do have a friend who he's the guy who has all of these bots set up to buy the newest Jordans and Yeezys and stuff like that to sell them on StockX, right? So he set up some bots to get PS5s, and my wife worked a deal with him to get us a PS5. So I got a PS5 like the day it came out. So that's been fun. So I feel really lucky about that. And right, they just came out with like the PS5 upgrade and like an expansion to it. So that's what it is right now. But honestly, man, haven't been able to play too much. Work is getting pretty crazy. I actually lead a team of people. Freaking had to fire a guy a couple of days ago. Like, poor dude, man. So
we had to fire a guy.
It's hard to fire.
Yeah, we did.
How did you feel? Did you?
Great.
And
great.
Yeah.
There comes
fucking fantastic.
Going back to what you said earlier, dude, it's just a perseverance game, man.
Yeah, we've had highs and lows. We've had, you learn things. Again, we're trying to master the art of conversation, and we're talking to someone half a world away because I saw you on YouTube.
It's kind of unreal we can do that.
And it's like, that's amazing. That's amazing. And
yeah,
we're learning things. And again, it's like going back to that concept of being in a foreign country. When you put yourself in a strange situation, parts of your personality come out that you didn't know you had.
Yeah.
And it helps you grow as a human being. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to get too like sentimental and deep there, and also not to toot my horn, but I don't know if I've mentioned on my shows. So I have lived in 6 different countries, right? I lived an expat life, like because of my dad's job, every 3 to 5 years we were moving. So I was actually born in Peru. Then we moved to Ecuador, then Chile, which is where we're from. We thought we were going to end up there. And there, as a kid, I started recognizing something. If you guys don't know much about the history here, Peru and Chile, kind of an awkward situation there. Chile kind of beat the hell out of Peru in a war, and that's why Chile has so much of the coast. So bringing up that I was a Peruvian in Chile, I just don't do that. Just couldn't do that. So you start recognizing, people will have like weird connections to the past. All right. We moved from Chile to the Philippines for 4 years. Vastly different culture. Then from the Philippines to Utah, then Utah to Guatemala. I lived in New York City, so it was kind of perfect for like a mixture of all of those. And now I've settled in Utah. All right. Long story there, but I like to express this to a lot of people, especially because right now the whole conversation is like diversity, equity, inclusion, right? Like you're just hearing this everywhere. I was like, dude, you guys would be surprised. Just like everyone ultimately is still the same, especially with a few things. Everyone just wants to be heard. So you're right. Like in a conversation, like my wife says I'm very like I'm extroverted. I'm actually like not like I like talking to people, but I need a lot of time to myself. Like I don't get energy from going out and hanging out with people.
Exactly the same.
Yeah,
You feel me? Yeah. Yeah. So I'm good at it. So people think I like it. It's like, nah, right. There's no better feeling than a canceled plan from the other person. Oh my gosh, dude. Like that's so great when that happens. So when you were talking with the conversation, my wife's like, I just don't know what to say. Like, that's the beauty of it. Like, you actually don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
Everyone, I don't care. It doesn't matter who they are.
It was one
They
of the,
just start saying something. Ask them, what?
yeah.
Tell me more.
How was your day? Things like that. I mean, one of the first things that we learned in the podcast a few episodes in was let the silence linger. Be comfortable in silence, because I'm the editor. I edit it anyway. So, but before
it gives a chance for other people to think and speak as well, like instead of just forcing.
Oh, for sure.
But those first few episodes, I had to keep talking. I was so nervous. I had to keep it going.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you know, it's a weird thing. It's almost like an irony, because I'm on the spectrum, right? So I was diagnosed at 3 years of age with what's known as Asperger's.
Interesting.
And I couldn't.
Asperger's, yeah.
I couldn't really talk until I was about 5 years of age. I had to go to speech therapy, so I couldn't articulate.
Wow.
You know, I was very much behind a lot of kids that age. I could only really form simple sentences, whereas 5-year-olds could have whole conversations, and I was quite behind. So, you know, again, it's just but I want to talk. I want to have a voice. I want to engage in conversations with people. I want to tell stories, and you just got to persevere and take it further, whether it be being in all these different cultures and struggling to make friends, because every time you go to that country and settle down, you're in another country, and you constantly have to stop. But perseverance, and I think it helps make the most of the little things. So for me, it's like the art of conversation. But I'm like yourself, I can't do it all the time. I love my girlfriend to bits, but sometimes first thing in the morning, she wants to show me shit on Instagram. I'm like, can I just watch this YouTube video and warm up?
Yeah.
I just want to watch 10 minutes.
That's why I do what I do. Like my wife is actually my favorite person in the world. Like and I'm really lucky that after years of marriage, like still it's like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, I hope I'm going to hang out with my wife. Like, that's what I want to do.
That's what you want though, ain't it? That's what you want.
Yeah. That's what you would hope for. Right. But even with that, and I tell my wife, like, again, you're my favorite person in the world. Genuinely, like legitimately. Why do I wake up at 5 a.m. and do what I do? I just need some time to myself. Like, that's really the only reason.
Yeah.
So I hear you.
Because you need to have that conversation with yourself, or none at all.
Yeah, bro.
Silence is bliss. And, you know, we all know people who can't be in. Like, I love that expression, awkward silence. What is an awkward silence? It's only awkward if someone says something stupid and then it's silent. Yeah, I get that. But like, just silence.
It's awkward if you think there should not be silence.
That's one of my litmus tests for my friends back in the day. If you can sit, because I'm an awkward shy guy anyway, if you can sit in my room and chill with me and you don't have to speak, we're cool. Like, you don't have to speak all the time. I mean, it helps, but you don't have to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's it. And you've got to have that time to yourself, because again, you know, I think we're introverted people deep down inside, but we appreciate interconnectedness. Yeah. We appreciate conversation and being around people, because we're very empathetic. You know, that's why you do YouTube reactions, because you love to see people respond. Like, I like watching you do your things because I like to see another human being laugh or cry or whatever it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes, especially in this day and age, you know, people being locked up in their homes for like 6 months to a year, and reaction video content is through the roof now. Probably no coincidence, because of the lockdowns. They just want to see someone else.
Oh, absolutely.
Respond.
Yeah.
You know, I won't watch the Green Mile.
I want to watch this again, but I want to watch it with someone else.
Yeah. Like, I won't watch the Green Mile because it's fucking 3 hours long. I've seen it enough times, but I'll watch someone watch it for 30 minutes. You know what I mean? That's
actually interesting. People do reactions to full movies, huh?
Yeah.
That's kind of smart.
That's what I mean. Like, because obviously on YouTube, you can only have so much. So, you know, I'm going to watch Shawshank Redemption, but it'll be like 38 minutes because it's someone reacting to it. But no doubt, if they're clever enough, they'll have the best scenes that people want to see them react to. Because that's what most movies are. It's just a few, you know, good scenes stitched together by okay scenes.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times during the day, like, I'll find a funny meme or something, and I can't wait to show my wife. And I'm looking for her reaction. It's interesting. I wonder why we do that.
Empathetic. Again, we're introverted empaths. We like our own company, but at the same time, we really appreciate seeing other human beings respond to things that we were talking about this yesterday, right? So we had an old friend from school, and he's a school teacher. And I don't know what it's like in America, but in the UK, towards the end of the trimester, when there's no more things to teach, the last few days they'll just put on it. They used to put on a DVD. We'd watch a film.
Nice.
So the last few days. And as a kid back then, this was like in the early 2000s. That was like the precursor to YouTube reactions, because you're getting to see the reaction of 20 other kids. Respond to a movie that you might like. You know? We'd sit and watch the original Spider-Man. I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I'm getting to watch this with all my school friends.
Yeah. It's the best feeling.
Because you're sharing it, same with the cinema, you're sharing it, but cinemas have been closed for ages and I can't be asked to go back now.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Really?
It's not the same. There's the reluctance to go back to the cinema. I've got no reason not to go back. I just think I'm older now. Things have changed. In my early 20s, I used to have those, the little credit card thing where you could just go in all the time.
Oh, that's cool.
Like the little membership thing. Yeah, certain places have them. You can just go in there. Like you pay $20 a month.
You're right. You're paying a premium, but you can save money over time
if you watch as many films as you want.
Exactly. And some films that are, some of the best experiences I've had were movies in the cinema that weren't that great at home. So like Tron Legacy was an amazing movie to watch in the cinema.
Amazing movie.
Watching Ted was one of the funniest movies I ever watched in the cinema. Like I smile at it now.
I've never watched Ted the whole way through. That might be fun.
Yeah, it's okay. It's an okay film. I think you grow out of it, but watching it in the cinema in a packed theater was the most amazing experience ever. But that being said, you ever heard of Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Oh yeah.
There were 6 people in the theater when I watched it, and that was actually just as good as a packed cinema, because some guy in the front would laugh, then I would laugh, and then the guy across would laugh.
Yeah.
There was only 6 of us. And that was a unique experience, So.
Last night we went to go watch Free Guy at the theater. So Utah, we're pretty lucky, especially where I live in Utah. We've known COVID is a scary thing for a lot of people, but we were like, still, we're not gonna be afraid. We're just gonna still live. That's been where I live. So I got somewhat lucky there. For me, for some people, it's not a fit. And last night we go to watch Free Guy, the new movie with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I know the premise.
Yeah, it's actually surprisingly good. There's a moment at the end. I'm not gonna spoil it for when y'all watch, but it reminded me of the Marvels, like the MCU movies. I love those things. Loved the new crap. I don't really like. I remember the moment in like Endgame or Infinity War when like the biggest scene when Thor shows up, and the experience of literally the audience roaring at the screen when that happened.
Yeah, I remember.
It reminds me of what you were saying. It was.
Yeah, I mean, watching Endgame, I must have watched that film twice. It was just something else, and people crying, like openly weeping.
Oh, dude, I lost my crap because for me, I was always people thought I was confident, but I wasn't, right? So like Tony Stark was, when people like, I like tell my wife, like I actually was actively thinking whenever I was nervous, Tony Stark, like just be Tony Stark. So yeah, when he dies in Endgame, dude, I like lost it. Cause I was like, this was a character that actually like helped me become he was like my fake it till I make it. Like I was like, I'm gonna be.
That's Tony funny because I used to identify with Spider-Man. The original, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire.
Oh yeah.
Because I used to do parkour, free running. So I'd be at school and all that, and just doing my own. Then what I identified with Spider-Man was that he was this kid that was bullied and whatnot, but he developed these powers and all that, and it was this that. I don't know. It's hard to tap into these days because I've grown out of it. But as a kid, that was just kind of your coping mechanism. That sort of alter ego. Because it's what they call Friedrich Nietzsche refers to it as the Übermensch, which I think is actually
the Übermensch. I love Nietzsche. Yes.
Yeah. And he talks about it. He says, like, everything that consists of all our highest ideals, we have this sort of hypothetical version that consists of all the values we consider to be admirable. And we put that into there. That's what Superman is. That is the highest.
That's our ideal.
That's the values of America. Maybe
Did he
not
paint
so much
as well? Did he paint?
don't think so.
Nietzsche?
No.
No.
Yeah.
But again,
Alright,
so the
alright.
Übermensch is like, yeah, we had. I don't know if Superman represents that today, but in the 1940s, for sure,
That's what it was.
the all
Right.
great American hero. And it's like, okay, that I aspire to be that. And then obviously you had Reagan and
Right.
Maggie Thatcher in the 80s sort of try and bring that up again. You, the
Bring
individual,
that up, yeah.
you're the strong, the individual is the strong one.
Yeah. And I think maybe the reason we then liked the hero who was somewhat broken is because we recognized that we're broken, and seeing someone still reach this ideal regardless. It's like
Heath Ledger's the Joker.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's like he was the product of a broken time, you know, because there was rumors that the Joker in The Dark Knight was an Afghan war veteran. There are rumors that that's what he was.
Wow.
That doesn't surprise me. I'm like, or an Iraq war veteran, you know.
Iraq war veteran, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, holy shit, yeah, I could see that happening. Because there's that scene, isn't there, where he's not wearing the makeup and you can see all the scars on his face and all that, and he's an excellent marksman.
Here's an interesting one for the mix. Have you ever seen One Punch Man? It's an anime.
Love One Punch Man.
Yeah. His problem is he's got so much power that he ends every enemy in one punch, and it depresses him. He hasn't got an equal match, and it really like depresses him. So like I think he stops becoming the hero and lets other heroes rise up. Something like that. I don't know. I haven't watched it in a long time, but
do you know what
can we not become depressed when we are not challenged? Is kind of like what that
poses, right? Because we fall into complacency, don't we? We need agency, we need urgency, we need to be constantly on our toes and putting ourselves in the deep end to adapt.
Yeah,
because we are these
creatures of burden.
Yeah, and it's not that we have within us is this DNA. Carl Jung talks about it. The archaic man within us is this lineage of information.
Yeah, I love Jung, but I actually don't know this one. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, it's in this book, A Modern Man's Search for Meaning, and he talks about the archaic man, which is within us is this 150,000-year-old lineage that goes all the way back to the human beings at the very beginning. And it's like all the things that they had to overcome, the tyranny, the oppression, the ups and downs, all led to where we are right now in this moment in time.
Sure.
You know, it's like I was going through an old family album in Scotland. My granny was showing me some photos of my great grandmother from the 1800s. And my dad said to me, if it wasn't for any of them, we wouldn't be here now. I'm like, oh shit, when she went to the shop one day, if she went left instead of right, I wouldn't be here. Right. Something as little as that. Sorry, I'm just blowing my mind.
I just blew my mind. Man. I was like, holy shit.
That's crazy, bro. Archaic man. Jungian philosophy. It's not definitely makes the conversation interesting.
Yeah. We go in different directions everywhere. We don't have scripts. We just fucking.
No, I love that. Sean, I noticed. Did you have the 3 crosses tattooed on your head? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
For Christ,
they represent my brothers. That's what that means.
Interesting.
Because my family's a big. I'm not religious, but my family is. So one of them has passed. That's the biggest one. But that's the story behind them 3.
Condolences, bro. That's cool. That's really meaningful. Condolences, but man, that's a deep tattoo then. Holy smokes.
I know. I try not. I like. No one really asked me about it, so yeah, it's good you brought it up actually. So I get to explain it for once.
Yeah. That's really cool. Well, yeah, drop that clip.
Yeah.
No, I hear you there, man. I have a brother with stage 4 cancer right now, and it's interesting that our interactions are because we're making memories because he's not gonna make it, you know.
Yeah, man. It's rough.
But it doesn't make me like sad. It's like, it's kind of interesting. You're like, I'm not going to be distracted hanging out. Right.
Yeah.
So
I get you. It's all that as well. You got to open up your mind and see beyond our own existence. Like anytime you meditate or anytime you pray, when you get in that mindset, when you really kind of what the Buddhists refer to as the higher consciousness, you see yourself as more than just this fleshy human body, this biology that we have. It's like, wow, I'm so much more than this. And you take a step outside of that, and we get so carried away with our day-to-day life. Like I'll do this exercise in the car now where I inhale through my nose for 10 seconds and exhale for 12 seconds. After about 5 minutes, I'm having a natural oxygen high. And again, I tap into that Übermensch. That's
right before I jump on, I always meditate and do breathing exercises. And my wife will ask me, like, what do you think about? Like, well, kind of feeling and experiencing. But then if I ever get to a point where I'm trying to actively think, it's like, It's like it's weird, but I'm visualizing my death. Actually, if you want to know,
Oh yeah,
like,
that's what it's like before
I'm
I
not-
go to sleep. I'm like, I wonder what it's like to die. Like, fuck,
it's
no, I
like
can't
a
sleep.
weird thing to tell her. It's
Is
like
that what you guys
I'm
think
not.
about?
I'm
Fucking
fine.
hell.
Wow,
My kind of thoughts before I go to sleep is I should really go piss.
There you
that's
go.
that's my thoughts when I first wake up, especially at the
You
moment.
you got to stop drinking water a couple hours before bed, man.
Oh man,
That's the
I'm a light
key.
sleeper, so
yeah.
my routine to try to go to sleep is like insane. Just
That
because
used to
like,
be
if not, I
my
don't
alarm
sleep.
for school. Drink loads before I went to sleep, and if I woke
Yeah.
up, I know.
Right, I've got some advice for you. If you ever have to do an early shift and you know you're only getting 5 hours of sleep, here's the remedy: eat a pizza and don't drink much water, and you'll wake up so thirsty you'll forget you're even tired.
That's a bit of a torturous
Jot
one,
that
though,
down.
isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll give it a shot, dude. I'm totally down to
Just
experiment things.
anything big in fiber, anything that's water soluble, just bread, pizza, whatever. Just
Fuck off bag of cashew nuts.
Yeah, just dehydrate yourself. So when you wake up, you're like, fuck tiredness, I'm thirsty. That'll get you out of bed.
Yeah, true.
Just saying.
You guys are a trip. You guys are a trip, man.
Well, anyway, it's been a pleasure, Seb, and thanks for doing this. Hopefully, catch up with you again soon. I know you're a busy man.
Yeah, dude. Hopefully,
Sorry for being
hopefully we
late.
do it again.
That's all good, man. It's all good. That's what it is, isn't it?
Fashionably late.
Absolutely no worries.
But yeah, definitely
That's
getting on
that's
that.
the thing.
Yeah,
It'll be the highlight of the show.
getting on the Sean Lock. Getting on the Sean Lock. 15
Yeah.
stories up.
Yeah, 100%.
I really appreciate that suggestion. We'll make sure
You'll
we
be the
give you guys
first American.
a shout out.
Yeah.
There we go. Make sure to give you guys a shout out whenever you post this. Like, send me the link, and we'll just have it on the descriptions and whatnot.
Yeah.
We'll
Next
promote
Monday.
it.
Next Monday.
Cool. Yeah. I hope to see your guys' channel keep growing, man. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, and same with you. And we'll catch up again soon. When you find the time, because we can go anywhere with these conversations. It doesn't.
This is fucking awesome, man. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And as mentioned, right, my flight to London last year was canceled. But that is our first trip that we're scheduling whenever that's less of a risk. You guys top on the list, man. I would love to meet you guys in person.
Yeah. Well, my advice:
get you in the studio.
Don't go to London. Go to Glasgow. See the Duke of Wellington.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go, bro.
Glasgow.
Gents, much love. Peace out. Thank you so
All right,
much.
Take it
Take it
easy.
easy, brother.